There was $30 million that we were spending. It's not that we're going to not do it again, because I've already said publicly we're going to recontract. What you saw in those results was that teachers were doing up to a level that was, and it says in the report, they were doing it more for their personal enjoyment, that it was actually useful in the classroom. That's the first thing. 60% of them weren't finishing the course. You had a whole lot of provision in areas of New Zealand where there are not high numbers of Māori. Yes.
It looked like 40 to me.
Percent of,
Yeah.
No, 60% were not in the research that I've got. But there was a whole lot of provision in areas of New Zealand where there are not high numbers of Māori students. It was a very poor contract that wasn't outcomes focused. There was
Now, there's
no
a really
reporting
important part
on
here
outcomes.
that not to, there was a really high number, there was not a high number of Māori students in certain areas. So what she's actually saying, what she's literally saying is, why would we need to teach these teachers today if there's no Maori kids in their school? That's what she's saying. Because she's putting together the $30 million, my words, being wasted on teachers who are in an area where there's, quote, not a high number of Māori students. And it's like, you know the country you live in, eh? And you know the education system you're the minister of, eh? You got that all? You got that? And you know how it's not just Māori that benefit from learning about Māori things and to be able to pronounce Māori correctly and to be comfortable in the indigenous language of the country they live in, eh? But this is this tangible, intangible thing. This has got about 45 seconds to go. Do you want to say anything yet, Chewie? Should I push play?
No, let it roll.
When we recontract, I want to know, what are the outcomes for Māori students? I'm only putting resource in and holding myself to account so that I know that we are driving outcomes for Māori students in the mainstream, because
Tangible
I care about
outcomes.
closing the equity gap.
What does equity in education look like?
It means that when you come out as a student, doesn't matter if you're Māori or Pākehā or whatever, that you have the same opportunity to succeed. And I want to see, and I've seen it in schools, I've been up to schools in Northland who do structured maths and they've closed the gap. It means that they're Māori students. There's no difference between those students and the other students. I've been down in primary schools all around the country who say to me, Erica, within 2 years, our Māori students are reading at the same level as every other student. It's never happened before. Through structured literacy, structured maths, all of the resources of professional learning and development. Those are results that I'm looking at and going, I want that in every single school in New Zealand. And that's why I have driven so hard to make sure that everything we're doing is about results, but not only in English medium, also in Te Reo Māori.
How do you...
And look, I think all of us, Chewie, would say if the reading is an improvement, that's amazing. Like it's great. It's good to see kids being able to read better. My concern is twofold. One is that's not the only outcome that we want to see from students in school. That's my first thing. And the second thing is, if you're the kind of kid who maybe that structure doesn't work quite so well, like lots of kids in the 80s and before were, then you fall through the cracks and you get left behind. Because there doesn't seem to be any conversation about, the neurodiverse kids out there whose brain doesn't quite function like that. And if this is the only way and this is the only mark and this is the only channel, because that's the vibe I get from what she's saying. Chewie.
Pat, do you believe that in only 2 years she's leveled the playing field?
No.
Like, have we ever seen a turnaround in an educational program that quick?
No.
No.
But
It's not
in fairness, she's saying at our school, the reading level had increased. Could that be possible? Yeah.
Oh, she's talking about seeing changes from one end of the country to the other.
Yeah.
Anecdotally, of course. I don't have facts or figures. And I just find that really, like, we've talked about this when National brought in national standards. The proof of the pudding in that isn't like in 1 year or 2 years. It's in 10 to 15 years you see the results of the changes that you've made. And in education, like, I'm sure Erica's doing stuff here. her minion, what's his name, fellow with the pink tie, he's wanting to make some pretty dramatic changes to ECE teaching as well.
Rimmer.
So they're not even letting something bed in before they're trying to change something else as well that could have incredibly long-lasting effects on the education system.